A word of warning for you, never take to the internet or YouTube past, let's call it 1 a.m., as there seems to be some sort of algorithm in place that caters to trolls and uber negativity, and it will absolutely slap you senseless with pushy, juvenile recommendations. Trust me, I learned this lesson the hard way, and I'm now passing along this knowledge to you because last night, I did the very thing I would recommend you not doing. I typed in Starfield and was assaulted with some of the saltiest fucking videos and articles imaginable. And this coming from someone that self-admittedly can get pretty salty. I mean, I call it skeptical, but hey, I guess both words start with an S, so close enough. Welcome back to the channel. It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and today I want to respond to some of these arguments as to why Starfield, and for that part, Xbox is doomed, and this one might get a little saucy. Remember to smash that sub button, ring the notifications bell to receive my upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated, and here we go. Okay, kicking this one off as a rather mild and somewhat level-headed reader feature published in Metro Game Central titled, "The Failure of Starfield Will Be the End of Xbox." And yeah, the title's a bit clickbaity, it's designed to pop, but the body of the post is where we need to start with this one. Points are made about PlayStation and Nintendo and their corporate trends, and then it moves on to how Xbox showed very well at their recent Xbox Game Showcase, but this image of strength is built on illusions, with Starfield acting as the shakiest of foundations possible, and then they add in this. As many people have already pointed out, Bethesda are about as far away from a safe pair of hands as you can get, and not just because of their infamous tendency towards bugs and jank, but because of all the other things they've never been good at, like action and dialogue. I'm not saying Starfield is going to be bad, I've not played it any more than anyone else has, but it seems to me that the chances of it disappointing, at least to some degree, are very high, especially given the hype of the last week or so. People build themselves up so much, and Xbox fans have so many years of pent-up frustration inside them that it seems a dangerous cocktail to me. Xbox has promised the world, and yet delivering it, I wouldn't bet on them pulling it off. And then they conclude their article by saying, "What I do know is that if these games, and in particular Starfield and Fable, turn out to be duds, or even just okay, then I think Xbox will have exhausted its last chance." Now, I'll drop in my thoughts in just a moment, because right after reading this article, and here's tip number 2 of things you never want to do after 1 a.m., I foolishly took to YouTube, typed in "Starfield will fail," and was just instantly wrecked. Listen, I get it, there are a million reasons to be skeptical of this game. I mean, modern AAA gaming has really missed the mark so many times, and there are valid arguments to be made against Starfield's success, which I'll get into in a moment, but these that I'm about to talk about are not it. Now, here's one of the most common that I've been reading. This game's just locked to 30 FPS on console, so that's it, I'm not going to play it. And while we all want higher FPS games for reasons, if this is where you're choosing to draw that line in the sand, I mean, 30 FPS gaming just sucks in general, then I guess Red Dead Redemption 2 was an overall crappy game, along with Bloodborne. Last time I checked, Red Dead Redemption 2 is rated the number 4 game of this generation on OpenCritic with a 96 out of 100, and all while launching at 30 FPS. More important than the actual frame rate itself is what is done within those frames, like textures, motion blur, lighting, and more importantly, just overall frame stability. And while we're on this topic, here's some other arguments for why Starfield will be a massive L at launch. No seamless ground to spaceflight when leaving planets, which I saw as a design choice, but for some that's a deal breaker? Okay. Some planets are just too barren looking, which to me sounds pseudo-realistic. And here's one of my personal favorites. Starfield's not available on PlayStation. And so if we reverse that and stay in that same vein, The Last of Us, God of War, and Ghost of Tsushima were all flops because they were PlayStation exclusives and not available on Xbox? Okay, how about Breath of the Wild? Was that an epic failure because it was just limited to Nintendo?
And now for something completely different.
Snapping back to reality, and there are of course valid and lucid reasons to be skeptical of Starfield, and if it can truly deliver the way that Todd Howard and Xbox are pumping it up to be. Leading the pack in this department is the easiest to quantify. Bethesda's recent track record, Exhibit A, Fallout 76. I mean, it's been 8 years since BGS delivered something substantial, and it feels like forever since the launch of Fallout 4 and The Elder Scrolls V Special Edition. Fallout 76 was a colossal failure, riddled with technical bugs, poor design choices, and a whole host of other issues, causing it to be one of the lowest rated titles in BGS history. Judging a studio on their past efforts and then applying that skepticism forward to their upcoming titles is fair, and this fact alone is a totally legit reason to be skeptical of Starfield. And a quick side note here, and while we're on this topic, you can also be skeptical of Todd Howard and question if BGS can deliver on the hype surrounding this game, because that's also a healthy discussion to have. Todd is a salesman, and Sales 101 is to always play to your strengths and try to avoid discussing your weaknesses. Other items to cause concern are the game's engine. Creation Engine, now Creation Engine 2, because this thing looks to be showing its age. It struggles with basic things like facial animations. And looking back on Bethesda's history, besides those vertibirds in Fallout 4, which, if I remember correctly, we could not pilot, we have seen that Starfield, again, does not make use of any vehicles while on planet. I mean, zero. None. We do have the use of a jump pack, but having to explore entire planets by foot, that could get tedious, especially if full planet exploration is indeed in the game. There just seems to be an underlying issue with this aging game engine and how it does not allow the use of vehicles while on terra firma. And while I'm also on this topic, there's this secondary argument to be made that perhaps Starfield is just too ambitious. 1,000 planets? All explorable? All with things to do? How much did the procedurally generated environments pack into this galaxy? I mean, did Bethesda choose quantity over quality? Again, all reasons you can be skeptical, but not to already label Starfield as DOA, a flop, or the final nail in the coffin of Xbox. Now, maybe skeptical or skepticism isn't the definer you would choose to accurately describe how you feel about Starfield, and in that case, here's some replacement words for you. Dubious, cynical, suspicious, guarded, hesitant, all of which I would absolutely agree with. Just being honest with you, but I have not pre-ordered Starfield, and I won't be. I mean, I'm truly excited by what I've seen, and if it can deliver on this hugely explorable, robust, and immersive outer space RPG, believe me, I am all in. But I'm skeptical. Not salty, not wishing doom and gloom on BGS, Xbox, and the future of this game. Just skeptical. And unless someone at Bethesda sees this video and mysteriously mails me an extra Constellation copy of the game that happens to be sitting around, I won't be picking it up at launch. I too have been burned way too many times in the past with pre-ordering games, especially AAA titles. I mean, unfortunately, I was someone that pre-ordered and bought Fallout 76, and I remember that frustration. I remember those promises made. I remember that inferior product that was delivered. And so for me, personally, I choose to sit back and wait and let the chips fall where they may. But claiming that Starfield is already a flop and Xbox is somehow doomed because of no 60 FPS or because it happens to be an Xbox exclusive game, no. That's something I just don't buy into. But as always, these are just my opinions, and I always welcome your feedback in the comments section below. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my future upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. All my social links can be found in the video description. A huge thanks to the over 125,000 of you that have taken the leap and hit subscribe, and a special thanks goes out to my patrons over on Patreon. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.